All right, so I wanted to quickly go over what my kind of run and gun setup is as a filmmaker, videographer who's in the kind of Blackmagic and RAW ecosystem, and what I do to get something like my Pocket 6K to a smaller size and add some features while still maintaining that same workflow that I'm used to while shooting the Pocket 6K. Eventually, I'll probably end up upgrading to the Pix's 6K or 12K, but right now I really don't have the need to go out and buy something like that. If I need to, I can rent it, but a lot of the stuff I'm doing currently works great with the Pocket 6K. And then I use my Fuji X H2S with a Blackmagic recorder as my B cam. There's a few reasons I do that, but so I'll kind of break down what my run and gun setup has been lately and kind of why I've been favoring this more over the Pocket 6K Pro lately for a lot of jobs. So I've been using this on a lot of stuff. I've been doing some tourism projects, some yacht shoots, and a couple different projects with this. I have a promo and commercial coming up soon that I'm probably gonna end up using something similar to this. I might go shoulder rig, it just depends on what that looks like. So this is what I've been using for a few reasons. Now, Pocket 6K Pro is great. Internal NDs, a lot of different, it's got EF mounts, it's got a great file with Blackmagic RAW 6K. It's just got a lot of benefits to using that system. But there are some downsides, one being the size of the system, as well as needing a V-mount battery to kind of power that if you're going for extended periods of times or anything more than, I don't know, whatever, 30 minutes, whatever the internal battery will last you. And then it adds more weight to a gimbal setup, and then you don't have autofocus, which if it's a very quick moving setup and there's not a lot of set things, you don't have shots set up, you're kind of feeling it out and kind of capturing more so what's there. Not having autofocus can be a hindrance, especially on a gimbal. You can use the little scroll wheel down here, which does work well, but a lot of times it's just easier to trust the autofocus so that you can focus on what the scene is doing and what's happening in that scene. It's nice to have fewer things to worry about sometimes. So the camera on the system, 16 to 55, 2.8 Fuji lens. Great, it's been in my workhorse forever. 24-70, the X H2S. Then I am running HDMI. This is just a small rig, a longer HDMI cable that works out really well. It's running around the arm grip here, all the way over to my Blackmagic Assist. This is where I'm recording my media. I'm not recording anything to my camera. I can hit record on here and have it record to the assist or record right here if I want to. And I'm pretty sure I can set up record on the gimbal to not have to touch anything up here. I don't know why I didn't think about that till recently, but I'm probably gonna be doing that. We'll record via camera and then camera will record via the Blackmagic Assist. I don't ever have to reach up here unless I want to adjust my focus point on the camera, which is great. One cable from the camera over to the Blackmagic Assist. The camera internal batteries, they last hours depending on what I'm doing and how much movement's going on. I have to swap those out occasionally, but not a big deal. Far better doing it with the Pocket 6K. One cable goes over to the Blackmagic Assist. I don't have any issues because it's a longer cable. It doesn't hinder my movement. It's strapped on the camera body and then back here on the arm as well. I have enough slack. If I turn, it's not going to pull anything out of place. I flip the Blackmagic Assist upside down. Reason being is because I don't like where the USB-C cable is. I don't think anybody really does. But this way I have the USB-C cable up top and I've just used a small rig SSD holder threaded into one of the three. It keeps it really compact, neat. Nothing going on crazy there. And then this does tend to eat at batteries, which is the only annoying part. So I have 4 to 6 Sony NPF batteries that I'll have to swap out and keep charging throughout the day. Mine are a little bit older, so if you have newer ones, they'll probably last longer. I need to update mine. I'm sure the batteries have just kind of died off over time. So that is the only annoying part with this setup. But otherwise, I'm recording Blackmagic RAW 4.8K at 60 FPS all into this. Now, granted, I'm locked in at 1000 ISO. I can adjust exposure in the RAW settings later on, but I'm locked my tint, everything. I have all the Blackmagic RAW capabilities that I would have in my Pocket 6K, but in this form factor, as long as I nail exposure. Now, the rig that I have for this, the reason being that I went with this is because I don't shoot a whole lot of stuff on a gimbal. I primarily am on sticks or Dana Dolly or just handheld. And so for me, I don't want to buy, you know, the top of the line Ronin or anything with a ring, cages, all the accessories, if it's not something I'm going to use a lot. If it's something that I just need occasionally for smaller projects, I don't need to add a lot of rigging, this is perfect. And I have actually rigged this up with the Pocket 6K, and I've managed to strap a V-mount battery on here, which is a whole other contraption, to actually power that along with everything else that I've needed on here. So it is possible, and it worked great, no problem there with the Pocket 6K Pro, but this is just easier, more ergonomic setup if you're gonna be walking around handheld with it a long time. So again, this is Cinepeer Crane 4E. What I like about this is a few different things. One, it's a budget-friendly version of higher-end gimbals out there, but you're really not sacrificing any features other than, I will say, I wish there were a few more mounting points for accessories. Other than that, I can do everything on this that I can do on the top-of-the-line gimbals that you're used to seeing. I've rented those on sets with different crews. There's not a whole lot different. There's some fine-tuning adjustments. For example, so adjusting your distances on all the arms. You might not have the fine-tuned little knob on that you might on other ones. Never had an issue with it, and this has always worked great. And this has got some cool things that other ones don't have. So first of all, I have my grip down here for my wrist, which is nice if I'm going to be running around like this all day. Keep my wrist from bending over too much. I have that little grip there. And then I have this arm here as well. This arm is nice because I can adjust the height of it to go up and down, but I can also adjust back and forth. If I want it behind the camera, I can have it behind camera. If I want to swing it around and have it side-by-side handles, I can do that as well. So if I want it something like here, I got that. Or if I want it directly behind camera, if I'm walking there, I can do that as well. And I just have to adjust the arm, and I just have to adjust the arm with a recorder on it, which is really nice. It gives me a lot of different options. I'm not locked in to a back mounted handle or a side mounted handle. I have the option to pivot very quickly and easily throughout the shoot, which is great. The only downside is the only thread point on this for mounting anything outside of the camera is on this handle, unless you wanted to mount it underneath here, which doesn't give you a lot of grip. And then these are kind of proprietary for these different handle grips. The only option you have is 1/4-20 on top of this handle, which has worked out fine, but I do wish that there was something on the sides. But again, for what I've been doing, this has worked great. Or I have the focus control that I've used on this as well. Sometimes I swap it to zoom control. Obviously I'm shooting with autofocus, so if I'm really moving quickly and we don't have a lot of time, but I still want to add some differentiation in my lens distance and things to 24 to 70, anywhere in there, and still have autofocus on the other one, just reducing me having to touch one more thing and move back and forth. I can kind of sit and adjust and work in one zone and kind of find the shot that way. Not always how I prefer to do things, but again, if you're running gun setup, if you need that quick adjustments, I just have that cable hooks up right there, and then I'm adjusting that with the knob down here on the bottom. Makes it super easy and quick. So the benefits of having this setup on this gimbal is that it frees up my Pocket 6K to be the handheld or shoulder rig or sticks A camera. And so I'm still working with both cameras shooting B-RAW. So it's an easier workflow, it's cohesive. I'm already in the Blackmagic and the B-RAW system because of the Pocket 6K and all the work I do on that. So using the X H2S to shoot RAW on this gimbal, it just makes sense with that workflow, and it's just easier to color grade. Plus the colors on the X H2S and the Fuji system in general, I just love how they look. It's got a little bit different color and tonality to it that I just really like. And it kind of shows, especially in skin tones when you're shooting with a lot of people, which is what I tend to be doing. And this setup also allows me to use my vintage glass a little more freely than I can with the Pocket 6K. Now, why is that? Well, the reason being is this Pocket 6K is an EF mount, which is great. It's very easy to adapt to. However, it is a crop sensor. And so your lenses, so you're losing distance, you're losing depth of field on those lenses. With the Fuji system, I have a speed booster to EF. So if I adapt all my glass to EF, I'm gaining back that distance and I'm gaining back that f-stop or t-stop because of that speed booster. So my vintage 35mm is actually a 35mm on this camera, and I get the full use of that glass and that depth of field, whereas I can't get that on the Pocket 6K. So that's another reason that I've really kind of enjoyed using X H2S for a lot of my Blackmagic RAW setups and systems. And having it on this gimbal, it just makes it a lot easier. When I have clients who want to shoot vertical and I really want autofocus for reels and things like that, I don't want to be playing around with manual focus. This has a built-in vertical reel system. I've actually, for some reason, had 2 projects recently, semi-recently, where I was told we were going to be shooting vertical, and then I show up and we're no longer shooting vertical, we're shooting horizontal. So luckily, it took me 2 minutes to just take off this grip, switch it from horizontal to vertical, and then I was good to go. Whereas I know a lot of people, you have to buy an L bracket and mount it, and it takes a long time to kind of switch it back and forth. This is easy. I can just do it right now, actually. Let's see, is it this one? Is literally, I just take this, I just unthread it off there, and there I am. Now I'm shooting vertical. Again, you might have to adjust your counterweight a little bit, but that's how easy it is to go from vertical to horizontal on this system. And then I just take it back off and right back there. And that has been awesome, because as much as I don't like to admit it, I'm shooting more vertical stuff, I feel like. So this gives me that flexibility to just quickly go back and forth between the two. And I don't need extra pieces or anything like that. It's all right in this system. And this is, very compact, neat, kind of kept together. So yeah, if you're looking for a gimbal, but you don't need something's top of the line because you're not using it as often, or you just don't need all the bells and whistles that come with it, Crane 4E I think is the way to go. I was a little hesitant at first. I wasn't sure how good it was going to be, but honestly, this punches above its weight class, and this does everything that the other ones do. I have used all the other ones several times on set, and they're great, but again, besides the bells and whistles, which really you're not using that often. If that's something you need, by all means, go ahead and invest in that and get that. But if it's not, and you're like me, and maybe you're not using it as often, or you don't need all those extra features, because when you're using a gimbal, you're kind of simplifying your system, then definitely look into the Crane 4E. And yeah, if you want to know anything more about my Blackmagic RAW setup shooting with the Fuji X H2S, I'm getting ready to put together a shoulder rig, and I'm debating on whether to go with the Pocket 6K or the X H2S. I think it's going to be pretty quick pace, so I think I'm just going to have to stick with one lens. So I won't be able to swap vintage lenses on that one, unfortunately. But yeah, still debating on which setup to go with for that shoulder rig setup. But so yeah, that is my compact gimbal setup with the X H2S and shooting Blackmagic RAW.